Salut tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. Now, for the longest time, I've wanted to do a video on this topic, les registres de la langue française. And that is because ever since I arrived in France, I've had moments where I've been told that something that I said is un peu trop familier and something else which might be soutenu. And I've learned that this is how they sort of class the level of language that you're using. And it made me think, I don't want to accidentally say something that's too vulgar or accidentally say something that's too informal to someone I should be being more polite with. Most of the time as learners, we get away with this because they know we're learning, right? But I feel like in our quest to get better at the language, it's good to know what level of the language you're actually using at any one time. So it's a really fascinating topic, one that I clearly haven't mastered yet. So what I've decided to do is to invite a special guest, Manon from Oh La La French course, who is a native speaker and French teacher, to explain all about les registres to us. And she's the perfect guest because over on her Instagram, she's always posting words and expressions in all their different registres. So if you're still confused about what these things are, don't worry, we're going to talk about them all in this special collaboration video. So without further ado, I'll let Manon introduce herself and we'll get started. Enjoy the video. C'est parti.
Bonjour, I'm Manon, French teacher and native speaker from Chalon-sur-Saône and currently living in Brussels. And I'm here to talk today about les registres de langue.
Cool. So Manon, question number one is, what the hell are these registres de langue, and are they something officially created by l'Académie Française or something like that, or are they less official? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so les registres de langue categorize vocabulary, grammatical aspects, a structure of a sentence, and some idiomatic expressions that we can use according a communication situations. So officially, there are three registres de langue. So the familiar language, le langage familier, common language, langage courant, and sustained language, le langage soutenu. So for example, saying je sais pas, I don't know, will be in the familiar language, but saying je ne sais pas will be in the langage courant, and je ne sais point will be more in the langage soutenu. Like
wow.
Okay. And so for your other question, so les registres de langue were not created by l'Académie Française. I think they were kind of forced to accept it because registre de langue was born because of the different social classes in France, the history of France, and the influences of the other countries. And that's why we have three language. Well, no, but maybe I will say three language register for now, but after I will develop.
Yeah, because there's three official ones. Okay, I didn't know that because I hear them either in. They range from 3 to 5, I would say, the ones that I know about. And yeah.
There are three, but it's too strict to say that only three categories. It's not that simple. It's French.
Nothing is.
So we can say that there are like subcategories. Okay, so if we're taking the familiar language, that you can use most with your family, with your friends, with people that you're close to. And in the langage familier, there are two subcategories. I will say that there is the langage vulgaire, so vulgar language, and we have l'argot, so slang in English. Slang can be vulgar or familiar, and vulgar can be slang or not. So it's not that simple.
Yeah.
So that's all for the langage familier. And after we have the langage courant. So it's the language that we use the most, friends, family, colleagues, in a shop, at work, everywhere. It's really a neutral language. And this is the language that we taught in French school and in French classes for foreigners, for example.
It's the safe one.
Yes,
It's the one we can't get into trouble if we use
yes,
courant all the time.
we'll talk about it, but yes, it's the safest one. Yes.
Yeah.
And I will add in the langage courant the formal language. Yeah, the formal language is between langage courant and between langage soutenu. It's used in official situations such as political speeches, administrative procedures, such as letters that you receive from l'État français. They speak a way that it is not langage courant, but that is not langage soutenu. It's formal language.
Yeah.
Okay, so formal language is not a language that you will use every day, but in specific situation. So the langage soutenu, it's not really used. It's a language that who use it in when they're writing a book, for example.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So and it's often used by a high social class. So if you don't part of the high social class, you will not use it a lot.
Okay, so this sort of leads on to my second question of formality and informality. We know it's hard as English speakers to learn when to use tu and when to use vous. And I'm just wondering, is it a case of whenever you'd use vous, you should be more formel or soutenu, and when you use tu with someone, it's pretty guaranteed that you can use le langage courant or familier or
Yeah,
vulgar.
in general, let's say that the language register corresponds to precise context. So yes, the langage familier, to family and friends, you will use tu with them because it's your family, it's your friend, so it's like it's a langage familier. Yeah. With the langage courant for everyday lives, you're going to use tu, but also vous. It really depends on the situation. So, and yes, the langage soutenu, you will always use vous if you use it, langage soutenu. But like I said, it's not something that you use a lot. So maybe I don't know if you're going to the opera. I don't know. Maybe you will act with like manners and talk with langage soutenu. But it's not. We don't use it a lot, langage soutenu. So my advice to know when to use one or each or the other is first to observe in the environment that you were. I don't know if you are to the bank, you see that you have to use vous, not tu with your the bank person. And if you are meeting a person and you don't know which language register used, just observe the person, how she talk or he talk. And if the person say tu or vous, the langage familier or langage soutenu that he use the same register that him or her.
Yeah.
Like we say, also the safest thing to do is always to use the langage courant, because langage courant can be accepted everywhere. It will be accepted from someone who speaks in langage soutenu and someone who speaks with langage familier. And
yeah, it's really broad, and like I said, like it's the safe register for us, because
yes,
it can be tolerated by people who want you to be particularly formal, and it's not even considered strange if you're with friends or close ones. It's it's polite. Yeah.
I know that in France we use a lot vous because I live in Belgium, and here like everyone say tu. Even if I go to the bank and my banker say tu to me, and I was okay, we're not used to, but it's true that in France we use more vous with a person that you don't know.
Great. And so the third question is, so between friends, would we ever use soutenu? And I appreciate there's those extremes again, and it depends on your social circle. But let's think about the typical expats, and they want to live their comfortable everyday life in France. Would it be, how possible would it be that they would be in a position where they would hear soutenu between friends? Would this happen?
Yeah, it will not sound strange if the way that you not talk with your friends, but For example, I know someone, so an English person, who mainly learned French with literature, by reading literature. And it's true that when he expresses himself, he uses not every time, because we cannot use every time langage soutenu, but he uses a lot of langage soutenu. For example, he will say fichtre to say like mince, dame, or shit. So he will say fichtre. And it's really a fish. It's really something that we find in the French literature. We are even impressed that a foreigner speaks le langage soutenu.
Right.
It's pretty nice. So I don't think you have to worry if you use the wrong registre de langue. The most important thing is that you not insult anyone, that you respect the person who you're talking with.
I love that. I love that we get this get out of jail free card. So it means that if we make a mistake, we're like, oh, I'm foreign, and we're forgiven.
But if a French make a mistake in French,
so I always say to my to my viewers that, you know, don't worry about being perfect. And I know that in this video we're talking about a lot of details, and you might be tempted to think, oh, how am I going to remember all this? But that's why we're saying, you know, be aware of these things so that you can make the best judgment. But generally, you're fine with courant.
Yes, but they have to know too that in truth, it also happened to us in French native that we don't really know which registre de langue use sometimes.
So number 4 is because, like you said, it's better to use soutenu accidentally than using, you know, something accidentally vulgar, because it sounds nice to your ears. You don't hear it very often. So before I make a mistake and be accidentally vulgar, is there a way to know I'm going to do it, or is there a way to avoid it?
So you have, when you're learning a new vocabulary or expressions, always check which register it belongs to. A French teacher will, if it's a good French teacher, will tell you every time which, maybe not every time which registre the langue the word is, but in any case, it will warn you if a word is considered like vulgar or familiar. Is not something bad. It's just that you don't have to use it with other person. You will not talk familiar with your boss, but maybe if you know your boss since, I don't know, a lot of years, maybe you can talk with the langage familier with your boss. It's really depending on the relationship you have. But if you're not sure about the word, if it's vulgar or too familiar for the situation, yes, turn your sentence differently. Don't say this word. Or at first, like we said, you specify. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a French. I don't know if it's a word is appropriate for these situations, and the person will correct you. I know that French learners want to speak French perfectly. In really, it doesn't matter. I do it all the time when I speak in English and when I'm not sure of something. And people in general really like to correct others. So you flatter their pride, and it's a win-win because you learn and the person feels proud to correct you. So like you say in your video, it's progress, not perfection. French is also a complicated language for us. So for a French learner, it's normal. So
yeah, like I say, you know, you can't expect your 30, 40, 50 years of English and developing those instincts to suddenly be at the same level in French after 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, you know. That's just a fact. So you just have to accept that you're going to speak imperfectly. Now, perhaps the best bit of the video is talk about Manon's favorite words and phrases in each registre. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So shall we start first from the most soutenu and go towards the most vulgar?
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, we can do it, yes, like that. Okay.
All right, so le plus soutenu, qu'est-ce que tu as?
I never asked myself the question because it's not like a question that you ask yourself.
That's my job for
Yeah,
I
yes,
test
it's
French
your
people.
job. So,
Yeah.
so I think the word I prefer in the langage soutenu is pétulant. Like, il est pétulant.
Il est pétulant, like for a child.
It can be a child, but it can be. Do you have an idea of what it means? No.
We say like if a child is not behaving well or he's complaining a lot, he's petulant. Is that
okay,
the same?
no, we don't have the same definition. Pétulant is someone who has a lot of energy. It was like vif, someone vif.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, maybe it's kind of related, but we don't use it in the same situation.
Is it positive or negative?
Oh, it's not a negative or positive. It's like someone who has lots of. It's like dynamic, someone dynamic. So in langage courant, it's more difficult because it's the language we use. So I pick an expression that I like is tirer des plans sur la comète.
Tirer les plantes.
Tirer des plans
Okay,
sur la comète. Tirer des plans.
Tirer des plans sur la comète.
La comète. Oui.
La comète. Okay. What does that mean?
So it means what when you make a project, but you prepare nothing, that you want to dream of something that's not ready to happen. It's tirer des plans sur la comète.
So now is it we have one that is vulgar?
Small langage familier.
Familier.
I don't choose a vulgar one, but I like the word vago.
Vago?
Une vago.
Une vago. Okay. What's that?
C'est allons-y en vago.
Like onigo? Like
No.
like onigo.
Onigo. We say onigo, but a vago it's a voiture.
Okay, I've never heard of any of these, so
yeah, I had a friend who use it a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's more slang than familiar. It's a slang word, I think.
So to recap those three, la vago.
La vago, oui.
And then was tirer des plans sur la comète.
Oui, très bien. Tirer des plans sur la comète.
And the plus soutenu is which one?
Pétulant.
Pétulant, of course, pétulant. The faux amis. Fantastic. I think you're gonna test me with my knowledge of of registre, which I think we've already discovered is not the best. So I'm scared.
So it's a test. If I say plaît-il, which kind of registre de langue is it?
Plaît-il.
Plaît-il.
Can I ask you to use it in a sentence?
It's a sentence. For example, we like in the conversation if il est pétulant, plaît-il?
I'm gonna guess and say familier.
No.
Because okay, you said il est pétulant.
Yes.
That's the clue. So it's
was the
soutenu.
clue, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Plaît-il is something soutenu that we use to say like you don't hear what the person say, and instead of say quoi ou pardon, you say plaît-il. It's like pouvez-vous répéter?
Wow, that's really concise and yeah. Okay, cool. Plaît-il. Nice. All right. Well, I got that one very wrong.
Ok. Alors, une expression être dur de la feuille.
Être dur de la feuille. I mean, it's an idiom, right? It's an expression idiomatique, and so I find there's no clues there. I don't know. So I'll say courant because you used an idiom for courant in your list of favorites.
I will more say that it's familiar because.
Okay.
Do you know what mean être dur de la feuille?
No, I've never heard it before.
Okay, so we can relate it to plaît-il because it's when you don't hear something, and that I don't know if your dad has some problems to hear some thing that you say. Il dit il est dur de la feuille.
All right. Numéro 3.
Yes. So un gonze.
Un gonze. I've heard of une gonzesse. It doesn't sound very nice. Okay, just on the sound alone, I'm going to say familier, but I think you haven't used a courant yet, so I'm waiting for a courant one.
It's familier.
Oh, yes. I got one. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
What does
familier.
it mean?
So gonze is the masculine equivalent for gonzesse. So a
Yeah.
gonzesse is a girl and a gonze is a man. So you can use
Okay.
it. It's familiar. It's more from slang. It's argot. So you
Okay, great. So, do you have anything else to add before we sign off
no,
for this
no.
video?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I think everyone's going to have learned so much, and I hope it's been very fascinating and really worthwhile. So, thank you so much to Manon for joining us today. And thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. You are rock stars. Go ahead and check out Manon's brand new YouTube channel, which I will link down in the description below and on the screen at the end, and also her fantastic Instagram page, which is always full of great tips on les registres de langue. Thank you so much for watching. Manon, you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, au revoir, à bientôt.
Cool, à bientôt tout le monde, à la prochaine, bon français, ciao!